The source base is the lawsuit. The lawsuits brought by slaves against their owners to enforce promises of freedom, sometimes to enforce contracts that they had entered into, that especially in the event of an owner's demise was not kept by the heirs, right? So there's a lawsuit, and so what you have is the dream is to have a complete record. But what happens most of the time is that people drop their suits. So what you have is at least a complaint, but there's a lot of fragmentary sources. This, on one hand, you're very blessed with a lot of material, as a historian going to the archive. But if you want a complete source, like what happened in this lawsuit to these people, did they win, did they lose? You're never going to get that, or very, very rarely do you get it. So what I had to do, and people, have to remember that I was trained as an anthropologist and not as a historian. So I really turned the archive into my field site, right? So what I ended up doing was I would look for my characters to trace the prehistory of the dispute, and then when, say people sue over a promise of freedom and you don't have a definitive ruling. So you want to look at the ways that those people end up in the archives again. Did they say that they were free? How, so you look at death records, or you look at marriage records, or you look at leases or other kinds of work contracts. And because people always put their condition in their documents. So what I would do is I would infer that the lawsuit was a sort of a stimulant when I don't have a final judgment, right? And then I would look for evidence of relationships, especially in the sacramental ledgers of the parish in which people lived. So I would look in marriage books. I did a lot of work in notarial records.